Hello everyone, my name is Grazian and welcome to a new game glance at an early access tower defense game called Repel the Rifts. It has an adorable pixel art style, chunky little towers that all have legs for some reason, which makes them feel like little guys that I put down. And it has different commanders that have different abilities, passive powers, active powers, and different towers that they start with. This game has elements of both roguelite and roguelike, but to simplify that, during a game you will receive upgrades as you go, unlock maybe a couple extra towers that you didn't start with, find some cool powers, get some artifacts that change how things play. If you're familiar with deck builder games like Slay the Spire where you get artifacts and stuff, there will be things like that in the game that you can use to change how your game plays. And there are also meta upgrades, aka a tech tree. So if you go in here, there's these different characters. So far there are 4. I'm going to be playing as the one you start with, just to, it's the most basic character, and also that way I don't really spoil how everything else works, in case you do want to find out for yourself. So this episode will be both sort of a tutorial and a bit of a let's play of the early levels. So in the tech tree, you can spend tech points as you level up. One minor thing that people do have an issue with right now is you can buy stuff and then freely reset them, but the points don't go across to different characters. So if you want to play as this character and then go back to this one, you have to actually reset and then rebuild the tree, which is a little bit annoying, but it's not the end of the world. So I'm just going to grab a couple of these upgrades here without really thinking too much about it. Let's not get too powerful so you guys don't see the how crazy it can get. So let's go on in here. I will say that the graphics, the music, it's all very, very good. It's got sort of a retro sci-fi sort of pixel punk sort of sound to the audio, which is really quite nice. The towers sound chunky as they fire, but repetitive, you know. But there are the different characters that have different stats. Okay, so since there are different characters, let's look at their different stats. Since this is a tutorial, I do want to go over some of this stuff to make it very clear. So we have a certain amount of health. As monsters reach the end, a lot of tower defenses, you'll have something like, say, 20 health. And every time a monster gets to the end, you lose 1. In this game, it's actually the monsters have different damage values, and they don't damage anything other than the commander, except for one other case. But what they do is they'll go up to your commander, and then your commander will actually fight back. So you see he has an attack damage of 45. This guy has a pretty high attack damage. So he'll smack the monsters and take damage in return as they're fighting each other. So he can defend himself a little bit. This guy's better at it than these other characters for the most part. They also have a max energy and an energy regen. So every day, a wave of monsters will come through the level, and you'll gain a certain amount of energy, and you have a maximum. And the energy is used on these skills. So what happens is, during the wave, which is nighttime, the abilities of your commander, you can see here's a 60 energy, a 10 energy, a 30, and a 30. So you have these energy abilities, and so you have 25 energy per day, which does add up, and you can spend it on these different abilities during the day. During the night. And then during the day is when you build towers and upgrade and stuff. So this guy starts with a Vanguard tower, a tower with a strong attack, great against high HP enemies, single targeting. And you can see it does kinetic damage. There are different types of damage. Kinetic is the most basic one, has no strengths at all. I would say it doesn't have weaknesses, but it does. This is a Sentinel. This is your classic area of attack. It shoots a little bomb attack. This is a very normal tower defense situation. And Cryo. This is an energy type damage, and it lowers enemies' movement speed, which stacks. So this is a very classic sort of tower defense character here, with a shooter, a bomber, and a slower tower. Right? You can unlock more towers as you go through a run. You have different difficulties. I've been playing mostly just on 3, which is the intended experience, which is what I'm going to do here today. And then you have a seed, which you can randomize, and then if you find a really interesting set of map parameters or something that you want to share, you can always, share that code with somebody. So let's get on in there. You'll have a tutorial option when you first play. I think you might have to play it, but it's essentially just a mission, a regular mission with tutorial pop-ups. But I'll be going through that stuff for you. So we have a random area. So we've got the headquarters commander initiating another deployment. Your directive, locate and neutralize the corruption source within your assigned sector. So what we have here is, let's go over the UI. So we have our ore here. This is our currency we spend on towers and upgrades and other things, which we'll show. This is our commander's health, 720. That's this character right here. This is his energy. And then he has, of course, if you hover this, it'll show he regenerates 25 at the beginning of each day. This is the guy. Now, he will attack things right here only, right next to him. But as far as I've found so far, there aren't any monsters that are ranged. So if they get to the commander, they will be in range of him. They'll hit each other back and forth. This here is showing your progression of the days. Now, there's a limited number of days. It's somewhere around 30 or so before you fight like the final boss wave. So you can see here, the first thing we're going to do is survey. Then we have a fight, night 1. Then we have stand your ground, a fight, survey, night 3, new tower unlock, night 4, fork in the road, which is a different type of survey. And this will all make sense as we go. So let's start with the first thing we have to do is survey the unknown. So we click on the location to survey. We only have one available option because this is the only direction so far. We're going to be building out the map as we go and making some decisions about the shape. So if we click this little guy will show up. Now we'll have two options, which is super cool. So you can see here, you see there's a pathway that goes like this, and then there's some tower spots here for like if you had AoE towers. We don't have that, so I don't really need this type of layout. And there'll be a second option, so we can now see, okay, now they would come in like this. If you follow my cursor, you see how there's this thicker line here? That's the borders where they can't go, and then the thinner lines denote the tiles. So the monsters can actually go, they can't cross right here, they have to go all the way around. So I like this layout better because it gives me more time for towers in this area to shoot these enemies. So I click survey. So we have a very small map on the first day. When I said AoE towers, I'm sorry, I misspoke. I mean, I don't have pulsing towers that hit everything around them. Those do exist. I have an AoE tower, but it's going to target a spot and explode. So I think with only 150, I think I'm going to start with a vanguard. I usually like to have one close by the commander that is in range of, see this tile right here where my cursor is. We want to make sure our first tower is in range of that, because if they do get past my towers and they're fighting the commander, I don't want him to be the only source of DPS when he's fighting for his life against monsters. So I'll put this first one here. It can reach this whole path, you can see. So you can see it has a height 2 bonus. It has a 10% bonus rate of fire. So if we hover over this tower, it does 40 damage. Rate of fire is 0.65, range of 2, and it has a critical chance of 22%. So if we put it on a lower area, it would get a height 1 bonus, which gives it a small amount of critical chance. Height 2 bonus gives it a rate of fire. Height 3 bonus gives it damage. So there's these different bonuses for how high up your towers are. And there's even a character that can change the layout of some of the tiles, which is very cool. Not this guy, though. So we put our first tower right here, I think. So as you can see, this one popped in. He's got little legs for some reason. This is a Vanguard level 1. We can salvage him for the price that we paid, which is nice. We can upgrade him for quite a large amount, to be honest. It's more than 2 more towers worth. But if you hover it, it shows how much it changes. It changes his crit chance and his damage. I don't know if that's, looks like it's plus 76, so it would go up to 116, it looks like. We also have buffs like here's the level 2 height advantage, and then it has total damage it's done last night and how many kills it has. You can also change its targeting, so if it's going to target the first enemy in the line, the closest enemy to the tower, the furthest enemy from the tower, the lowest HP enemy in range, the highest HP enemy in range. I will say that this seems not like it's working perfectly all the time. The game is in early access and I want to be totally fair about things. Sometimes it doesn't appear to be working correctly. I could be misunderstanding what I'm seeing, but sometimes it feels like this is not working properly. So just keep that in mind, but you shouldn't really have too much of an issue with it. Building your map and your towers out act like well will win you the game. There's also a lot of cool upgrades in this game I can't wait to show you, which is what makes it really unique. So what we're going to do here, the other thing I wanted to show off is you can hit Q and take a look at your character. So this is the mechanic. He's got a damage. He deals kinetic damage. Sorry about that, my cats are growling at each other. So we have a range, so you can see he can only attack one tile away from him. So he's vulnerable. Once he can hit something, they can hit him back. Doesn't have a crit chance. He doesn't have any armor, so he doesn't reduce damage taken, and he generates 25 energy per night. And then he has a special passive, which is that his starting towers, the Vanguard, the Sentinel, and the Cryo towers, can go up to level 4. Normally, level 3 is the maximum, so we've got 1, this would go to 2, and then there's a third upgrade, but he can send them up to 4, which makes them very powerful. It's very expensive, but it does seem to me like the upgrades are well worth it. It's sometimes just a question of quantity and quality. So let's get started. So we hit this button here to proceed to the next night, or hit the keywords, which are shown around here, 1, 2, 3, Q, etc. We can also pause at any time, and if you hover over his powers, it will slow the game down a little bit. So I'm just going to pause. I know you're probably wanting to see the towers shooting at monsters, but we have a couple things to talk about. So this wave shows night 1. There are 24 implings. They have 22 health. They are sparsely separated, like they won't come out all at once. They're slow moving. I will get 135 ore from this. And then there are 2 damage points on each impling. So if they get up to him and starts hitting him, they'll do 2 damage each swing. How quickly you can traverse the map. Yeah. So you can see basically what you're dealing with here, and you can hover over these things, which is really nice. Now, I do want to talk about his energy powers. So if we go down here, the commanders have a set of powers, and I think they all have 4 from what I've seen, and they are unique to those commanders. So we have we'll go 2, 3, 4, back to 1. So 2 is Power Surge for 10 energy. Increase the damage of towers in a 5x5 area by 35% for 7 seconds. Now, this is not a permanent upgrade, of course, but it can really save your bacon if you can hit a nice big group of enemies. One thing that's really unfortunate is you cannot cast these powers while the game is paused. You have to unpause, and then you can look around for where you want to cast stuff. I'm going to pause it again. So power, I wish you could do that. I don't see how that would break the game at all. It feels like you should be able to cast these while it's paused. 3 is Augment Damage. Permanently increases a tower's base damage by 20%, but you can't use it twice on the same tower. So you have the sort of incentive to give this power to each tower slowly over time, depending on how much energy you have. You also have Augment Speed. Same thing, but for fire rate, 10%, and that's permanent and only once per tower. So you can have a tower in a critical position, say once I put one maybe up here, we would want to get both of these on there, so it becomes quite the powerhouse. And then back to upgrade 1, this summons Poly. So Poly is an adaptive tower that copies its neighbors' on-hit effects and deals 20% of their combined damage. I don't fully understand how this tower works at this time, but obviously you want it to be summoned next to other towers, and it's also expensive. So I think what you want to do is get towers like the AoE, the Cryo, and the Vanguard, have a set of 3 of them around the same spot, and then summon this so that it does the effects of all 3, but would only be doing 60% of the damage, essentially. So I'm not really sure when to use this, because this is the cost of 2 permanent upgrades. So in my experience, this is a little confusing when you should use this, but I just need to play with it more. So let's get back into the fight. So we're just insta-gibbing these implings here with our tower, which does 40 damage, but you can see sometimes he crits. But we know the implings only have 22 health, so they cannot survive a shot from this tower. You can see here there's 6 left, which is nice that it shows how many are left. Very cute game. I love the pixel art style. Now we're on to Daybreak. So I will receive my 25 energy for the day, And now we are going to build more towers. Now, I promise there's some more interesting things coming up here soon. So let's get through a few more nights. I'll sort of quickly explain what I'm doing. I won't go into too much detail until we get some interesting things happening. So here, what I think I'm going to do is go ahead and plop a sentinel down here. This is the one that's going to have the AoE. It's got a really nice area here it can hit. This one only does 28 damage, but in an AoE. So you can see between 28 damage plus 40 damage, we're looking at 68 damage, which is a kill on these Watchers. So that means as long as both of these towers hit each unit, they will die. So that should be okay. So we'll go ahead on to the next night. If you start taking a little bit of damage on your commander, don't panic. Just make sure he's not undefended. And make sure you have towers that are in range of him. And there are ways to get health back. Sort of trying to keep in mind if I'm blocking anything here with my face cam. These guys freak me out a little bit because they look like they'd be in a health textbook. This game does get more interesting, I swear. The first few levels are very, very simple. So you can see now we've got Survey the Unknown. So every other night, we have to actually add another area. Now this is good and bad. It's good because the longer the path is they have to take, the more time we have to kill the monsters. The bad thing is that eventually we have to fork in the road, which means they'll be coming from two directions. And so we're actually going to have to manage how they're approaching us from more than one direction. As far as I'm aware, you can't connect them back together, but I haven't managed to get close enough to try it yet. Maybe it's possible. That'd be pretty fun. So here, once again, I have two options, so I can check. So this one gives them a little loop-de-loop here. This might be an artifact. I'll explain that when we get one, but I don't want to take that one here. I want this path. This path means they have to spend more time going around loop-de-loop like this, which will make them more vulnerable to, say, AoEs. For that reason, I'm actually going to plop another one right now. Again, I'm going to go back to Vanguards. I want to have a lot of high single target damage close to the commander to pick things off that have made it that far. I don't like these positions, though. I wish I had this area unlocked. I might put one here. So I've just plopped down more single target towers. They do pretty well if you've got a big mass of them because they'll all just shoot the closest thing and it dies. I can also start upgrading my tower. So I'm going to go ahead and augment speed and damage on this one here. So this one is now shooting faster. So it's shooting 0.71 instead of it's not. Oh, this one has a rate of fire from being lower. You can see it is doing more damage. These guys are really cute. These little fiendkins. Average speed, they're fairly dense. You see they come in big packs. Alright, so we've made some more ore. Now we get a tower unlock. Now this is really cool. At this time in the game, a big problem that I feel is happening in the game, as well as some comments I've seen on like the Steam discussions, is that there's not enough diversity in the game yet. There's not enough towers. These are all towers that come from the other commanders. There aren't, as far as I've found, there aren't any towers that aren't part of a commander's loadout. So you're really just adding things from other places in the game. There aren't any cool chaser things you can find that aren't in the game yet. Nova Blast and an ionizing debuff. This demon takes 9 damage per second, receives more damage from all sources. Or a damaging tower that just quakes. Let's just go with the Tremor Tower. So we can now build a new type of tower. This one's a little bit expensive for me, but I do like this. Like I could be putting them in these spots here. And in fact, I might even sell this eventually and put this Tremor Tower here. So that's a good spot for it. But I'm going to plop it down here. It's got an extra damage bonus. So this one's going to pulse in a fairly short area, but it's going to do a lot of damage to all units in this path at the same time. So when we survey again, we might try to, go around and this way so that this tower is affecting lots of things. Now we've got these hounds coming out. So you can see they're fast enough that they're sort of trying to slip by here, but they haven't even reached the range of this one. Yeah, here we go. Once they hit this one, I think there's enough DPS that they can't get through. All right, now we have the interesting one. So we've got a fork in the road here for day 5. So now I have to survey. Now the problem is this is going to add 2 new groups. I want to go this way. I want to see if I can get it to go back around towards this tower again. So I'm going to survey this direction. And I might even put yet another one of these here. This is a pretty decent spot. That's a good spot actually as well. But this actually hits more tiles. So we'll put one here. Oh, we have the market unlocked now. This is the first night we can get to the market. So if we hit M, we'll now have this every single day. So we have these powers. You can see down here how strong they are, but also how much they cost. So the Sentinel's damage will go up by 3 flat points of damage if I pay 36. We can increase the rate of fire of all towers by 8% for 72. Increase the Vanguard specifically's damage by 3 for 36. So you can see we can upgrade the Sentinel, all towers, or the Vanguard. We can also pay to reroll, which the cost will go up. And we can also lock these if we're like, oh, I really needed this power, but I don't have enough ore today, so I can lock it, and then tomorrow it'll show up again in the shop. In this case, I think I'm going to go with the fire rate of all towers, and that should affect all towers forever. It's not just the ones you have out. And I still have a little bit of money, so I think I'll grab a cryo tower, and I think we'll put it. So for this one, see, damage isn't super important because this tower only does 22 damage. It's really better because it's slowing enemies. So I want the rate of fire. So I'll put it here where it's going to get the rate of fire bonus instead. And now we're ready to move on to the next night. Now we're going to have a mini boss here, although it's just going to be a horde of monsters. So this is glint shards. So they have overlord, periodically summoning minions, and it's going to summon glint bits. So you can see these guys have a lot of health, but they're slow, but they do a lot of damage to the commander. They summon these little guys, which are very weak, but the problem is that our towers will be constantly trying to keep up with killing these summons as well. So here's the glint shards here, and then they summon those little guys every once in a while, which are vulnerable to AoE, which is nice. You can see, once again, all the towers have little, like, legs or feet. Like, this is a little tank. This guy has little legs. This guy has legs. This guy's like a tripod. I don't know why they're all, like, little guys, but I love it. They're so cute. I'm going to rate of fire on that one and damage. They're working on it. They're working on it. Almost got the last main one. There we go. Now we'll get an artifact. Now this is what sets this game apart from a lot of tower games, is that we now get artifacts, like in a lot of deck builders or other roguelike games. You get these powers, or roguelikes, you get these powers that can change how the game works. We can sell it to HQ if we just want ore, if we're like, I don't like any of these, but it's almost never a good idea to take that. So demons have 20% of their energy shield converted into HP. That's pretty good. That just means energy shield is a different type of defense that they have, which is a little stronger than just basic health. So that would sort of help a little bit, especially with me where I have mostly kinetic damage. All towers apply the exposed buff. Exposed, the demon takes 1% more damage from all sources for 3 seconds, and it stacks up to 20 times. So over time, as they're getting hit, especially by things like AoE towers, they'll take more and more and more damage. Or gain ore when killing demons with critical hits. Well, how much? So we have no critical chance here, none here, pretty good there, none there. So I don't think that's really quite what we want. So I think magnifying glass would be good, especially since we've unlocked a second AoE tower. We can apply sort of a vulnerability in an AoE much more frequently. So we could get artifacts, and by the end of the match we may have, you know, a dozen of these. It depends on how many you find. You'll always get them from these mini boss ones every like 5 nights, but you can also, I thought this might be one, but sometimes the maps will have artifacts that you can spend your ore to dig for. We'll definitely see that by the end of this game. So let's head on into the market. Sentinel splash radius goes up and all towers damage. I'm going to buy those two because you have to find a balance between paying for market upgrades and having towers and having and upgrading the towers as well. But the splash radius on this will be helpful. So it's a little bit larger now. So it's a little more than 1/3 of a tile in radius. So if it hits something, say right here, it would reach about like this. So that might mean I want to put a few more sentinels down. I'll plop one down here because it's going to get the damage bonus and it can see all of these tiles. And then I might just put a emergency sentinel back here at home, just in case. This one can actually hit things as they approach the commander as well. So it's not, even though this area is wasted, this is actually really good that it can, these two can snipe things getting close to the commander. Your ore carries over between nights and days, so you can save up if you need something. Now these guys have energy shield. It doesn't show on here. Here, it shows on here. Protects the DM from being debuffed when active. So they have an energy shield and health, but they actually have more shield than health. So they can't get debuffed until the energy shield is gone, which sort of counters my exposed power. So you can see these guys here are not getting the debuff. But there at the last second there, let's find one. Here it is. This one has the debuff because the energy shield's gone. So this is a bad wave for me to be dealing with. And I could have looked ahead to look at these other things. We've got more energy shield here. None there. We've got this powers to use, but I'm not feeling like I need to use them at this time. And I have lost this game on this normal difficulty a couple of times. I would say that I win probably 75% or more of the time on this difficulty, but you know, you have to get upgrades as you go. So we have another survey day. Now, what's going to happen here, which is really interesting, is that no matter which one I survey, the monsters are still going to spawn from 2 directions. So I'm extending the spawn distance for one of the 2 directions. So I have the choice to, next time I survey, to make, you know, each one gets longer slowly, or I could try to just do one that's really long, which is probably not a good idea. So I want to survey here. I want to try to wrap around. Yeah, here we go. See, look, we're getting all this really good AoE potential areas in here. This is not bad as well if we had a tower there, but I think this is a really good looking one here. Now you can see here, see these little guys here in the ground I can hover over? These are rocks, and so when we excavate these, there is a 65% chance that I will find an artifact. And the artifacts you find in here, I don't know if they're as strong as these, but they're more like these style of things than they are these market upgrades. They're not like just basic little buffs to things. They're actually quite strong. I'm going to get the commander's energy regen. But I'm going to wait because sometimes you get artifacts that affect the market. So let's do one of these. So R, scan, no artifact found. I'll do this one. And we did find one. So demons are permanently affected by weakness. So we can get their armor off. First time you level a tower each day, it gets 30% rate of fire for 1 night. Or grant 3 market rerolls per day. That's not bad. I do like the idea of the demons permanently afflicted with -5 armor. The dev did confirm that negative armor does amplify damage. So if they get to 0 or less armor, you start doing more than max damage, essentially. You know what I'm saying. So let's get, we don't have enough money for much anything here. I probably can't afford to upgrades are pretty expensive, but they're very good. Like they feel worth it when you upgrade. So do I want to plop a tower down or do I want to just save? I think I'll go ahead and get a rate of fire spot for a cryo, and then tomorrow I'll get another AoE one for this area. So I think it looks like we're about running out of time. So what I'm probably going to do is make this the tutorial episode, and then I'll go ahead and play out the rest of the game in a second episode. So if you want to just see the gameplay with a lot less explanation, I will. Okay, whoops, let's pause here. I'm going to go ahead and power surge these towers here because I don't want to start taking damage. This ought to help me a little bit here. It's okay if I take a little bit of damage. Ooh, he had to hit one. Did you see that? He killed one. I almost got hit there. That was very close. So those guys were very fast. So the next time I survey, which is after tonight, I'll be adding to this side because I want... These guys are taking a long time to get there, but these ones are spawning much closer, and I don't like that. So I think this would be a good spot for me to end this sort of New Game Glance episode 0 of this game. I'll do one more. I'll probably just finish the whole rest of the days. I think it goes to like day 30 or something. And then you can continue into Endless if you want to go forever. Kind of like if you've played Nine Kings after you beat day 33, you can just play forever until you lose. You can do that with this too, but when you end the run, you get experience and tech points for your characters, and there's the 4 characters so that you can level up different play styles. This guy's got a very basic sort of just hit him with bullets. There's a character that's got damage over time. There's a character with a lot more like sort of geometry, I would say, a lot more like shooting down lines and hitting certain areas. And their powers are all different too. The nighttime powers, this guy gives them permanent buffs, but other characters do other interesting things. So definitely check the game out. Repel the Rifts, really great game. The devs seem... I don't know if it's a solo dev or not. Let's actually check that out. So let's go to the store page here. So this is, roguelike tower defense game. Yeah, it's really fun. This tower here, the little flamethrower guy, really fun. So let's see here. So this is from Refined Bear Games. Very cute. He's got 2 followers. We'll give him a follow there. And so he's got Repel the Rifts, and that's it. So I don't know if this is a solo dev, but they've got 1 game, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So go check it out. I got this game for, I got it for under $10. I think I got it not on Steam, but on a reputable website that does Steam keys. I only use reputable sites. I don't use the gray market anymore. But yeah, it's a very, very good game. It's published by Goblins Publishing, which has some fantastic games. Like when I see something's published by Goblins, I'm like, okay, wait, this might be very good. This looks super cool. I think I played the demo. It wasn't for me, but it was an interesting game. I've got some of these games on my in my library. Decks of the Damned, Day of the Shell is a great game. I played the demo when that came out. I have Soul Sesto. Synergy is great. Actually, Spin Hero is great. I've got a lot of this publishing company. Yeah, Diluvian with look at it. Oh my God, I just played it. Wow. Defend the Rook. Keeper. Oh, Legend of Keepers. I've got a bunch of those on my channel. That's a great game. Yeah, so check this game out. Repel the Rifts, really great tower defense game, roguelike and roguelite. Each run will feel different. There's different biomes, there's different monsters, and the devs' roadmap includes enemy diversity as well. So I think this game is going to be great. I would say that it's good right now. I would say it is worth buying as it is. But I think it's going to be great soon. I think it's going to be really, really great. So thank you for watching. If you want to see the rest of the game, I will record that and throw it up on YouTube. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. If you like this kind of thing, check out my New Game Glance playlist where I look at games that are either haven't come out yet, are in early access, or are kind of unknown. So I'd like to check those out. But mostly I play things like Age of Wonders. So if you want to see more of that, then stick around and see more of my series. Otherwise, I'll see you in my next episode.